Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Please Call Me Crazy, brought to you by Free People Radio and now powered by our first sponsor, TireGet.com. That's TireGet.com. You all have to buy tires from somebody. You might as well buy them from us and help fund the movement, help support the movement. We believe in the freedom of movement, and that's exactly what the establishment wants to take from you now. I am your host, Royce White, and I am here in the belly of the beast, Minneapolis, Minnesota, for another episode. Episode 37. Episode 37. The day is April, let me check. April 26th, the year of our Lord, 2023. A little bit of housekeeping. We are seeing that Rumble has a little bit of trouble getting the content uploaded in an adequate time. I don't know if Rumble was down over the past couple of weeks or had some server problems or whatnot, but we had a few episodes that had trouble even finding the encoding server. This technical stuff you may not know. Anyway, we are planning on continuing to update Rumble and have all of the content premiere on Rumble at the same time as YouTube. For all of those who are out there who are Rumble users, we are available on all audio platforms, all major audio platforms, that be Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. Um, Continuing to look into Odyssey, continuing to look into Twitch. We're still working on the entire flow of content and how to best get everything where it needs to be in an adequate and timely manner. A bit of news, a bit of update is we do now have an Infowars or band.video channel. So and that link will be posted in the description. And actually, I don't think I could post it in the description because YouTube may take the video down for a hyperlink that's posts, given that they took my Alex Jones interview down, which is still available on Rumble. And we're going to get it up on the band.video site as well. Everything that we're doing on YouTube here will be mirrored on band.video. So we'll have the content there for you to be able to check out as well if you're a band.video user. And we're looking into a few more things as well. So, as well as Professor Penn, the Professor Penn podcast, which premieres on Mondays and Wednesdays at midnight. So that will be tonight. After this podcast is done, you can go over to Professor Penn's YouTube channel and tune in for his nightly lesson, nightly seminar. It should be a good one. As another bit of housekeeping, we have two guest episodes this week, two family and friends guest episodes this week. One of them will be none other than the great Professor Penn, which will air tomorrow. So I know you're not used to having us premiere episodes on Thursdays, but tomorrow we're going to have a special family and friends episode and bring Professor Penn into the studio and get his take on a few issues regarding the Republican Party and where we are with American politics, given that he is an officer of the Republican Party here in Minnesota. And then on Friday, we're going to have none other than the great Tim Gordon. Tim Gordon is the host of the podcast Rules for Retrograde. Good Catholic brother there, Tim Gordon, and he has some amazing podcasts happening over on his channel, of which I've been a guest many times. And this will be the first time we have the great Tim Gordon on Please Call Me Crazy, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to all of you getting the chance to know and hear Tim Gordon's story and his take on a number of issues not beholden to the Catholic Church and the overall state of spiritual matters here in the West and in the greater world. So, with that being said, let's get started. Today, current events. There's really only one current event that we need to discuss. There's really only one current event that should have our attention. And with all due respect, everybody, I know I got down on Monday. I had to get down hard. We have to really heal this nation, not in some corny or cheap way, not in some fake, faux politically hijacked kumbaya, not in some anti-American, anti-God, anti-Constitution sentiment. No, we have to heal this nation in a real way because our enemies are at our gates, and even more accurately, our enemies are within the gates. They are inside the castle walls. Um, in fact, our greatest enemies are those that we have charged with leading us right now. And so we have to get realistic about healing the nation, saving the nation, but also in saving the nation, if healing the nation is the most efficacious way. And it may take us all, black people, white people, Hispanics, so on and so forth. We have to rally around the American identity. Many people want to take the American identity and bastardize it or undermine it or obfuscate it or manipulate the view of it, um, misinform, mislead, right? Many people want to take the American identity and turn it into something that can't be a rallying cry, that can't be a rally point. And that's not by accident. So all of us have to take a strong look in the mirror now and understand that the rally point is American citizenship. And there are some fundamental things to American citizenship that call for historical reconciliation. And again, if you didn't catch my last podcast, I just said in summary, the whole let's not talk about race and then racism will go away or racism isn't real. It doesn't really address how we need to get down to business on the race matter. And then as that pertains to, or as it pertained to George Floyd as this huge symbolic cultural story that still permeates the division of our nation today in many ways. And we saw there in Georgia, or we saw there in Pennsylvania, or we saw there in Arizona or other places where, if nothing else, the Democrats use the assumption that most black people will vote Democrat to undermine this nation, to undermine our politics, to undermine our governance, our ability to self-govern, our ability to govern without crony capitalism and corruption. They use it. Raphael Warnock, $240 million raised. And then we'll get to elections in a moment because that's really the gist of what I want to talk about today. But I just wanted to, again, the George Floyd thing, I don't really care what your opinion is on the matter. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care what you think about George Floyd. And overall, if you have some personal gripe with George Floyd, you're missing the bigger threat of a police state. And you can say, oh well, the police state isn't an issue in the George Floyd matter. No, the police state is always an issue. And just like the tyranny of the federal government is always an issue. And oftentimes we as the American people have let this nation down by going for the low-hanging fruit of cultural wedge issues because we lack the courage to confront big issues. And this is where where me and a person like Jordan Peterson would greatly differ in our opinion on the current state of things. Is because he tells a story where before you get your house in order, right? Before you get your house, and I like Jordan Peterson a lot. I want to be clear. Jordan Peterson was a huge inspiration for me to get even more involved in the whole cultural conversation because I lived in Canada for 2 years, and I lived in Canada while he was when he first popped on the scene and went through the whole LGBTQ mania that took place there in Ontario. I was actually living in Ontario. So I like Jordan Peterson, and I think he's a profound, profound thinker. However, one of the things that I disagree with him on is just how urgent it is and necessary for us to be involved and for us to be able to address big issues. We bastardize our, and I understand what he's saying because in truth, the ability to critically think, the basics, the first principles of philosophical understanding or thought itself are so obscured in our culture today that it's almost it's almost unreasonable. It is quite unreasonable for many people to think that they have the sophistication or discipline or nuance or skill of the mind or of their thought process to address such large and complex issues. But at the same time, that's where courage must be found. Many of us don't have the skills or the competence or the know-how or the experience to deal with any of the issues that we face in life. That doesn't mean we shouldn't try. That doesn't mean we shouldn't confront them. And as far as this nation's overall health goes and the standing of our citizenship, we have to address complex issues that we're not equipped to. We have to have the courage to address complex, big, geopolitical complex issues that we are unequivocally unequipped to deal with. wholly lacking in skill and experience and formal academic training or knowledge of research and data and all of these. We're way beyond having time to you know uh, get up to speed on all of it before we start to point our energy, our interest, and our commitment and discipline towards big issues that are well beyond us individually. So, and again, I use the George Floyd as an example. Yes, George Floyd could have done a lot of things different that day. He could have done a lot of things different in his life, but so too is the case for all of us. So too is the case for many of us. And don't think that they won't use certain individuals as a predicate to set the stage of jurisprudence, uh, or I'm sorry, not jurisprudence, but precedents legally, to slowly but surely encroach the reach of the police state and overreach of governance, because they will. And it doesn't matter if it's George Floyd or not. It could be anybody. And it doesn't even have to be about policing and crime or blacks and whites or any of that. The police state is on the move in the broadest sense. And I don't think that's a conflation. And lastly, one of the last things I talked about was reparations. And we have to ask ourselves now, is it advantageous for us to repatriate and renationalize certain demographics of people? We're not going to out Democrat the Democrats. That's We're not going to win this. When you say the welfare state is reparations, no, it's not. The welfare state is a way for the federal government to take your money and pay to keep black people dependent on the government as permanent wards of the state. Reparations in a plan like mine anyway would be a one-time deal where black people are afforded the ability to opt into a program where they get to become a part of this nation's rebuild and eventual future, inevitable future when we rebuild the manufacturing base. And I think it's necessary, and it's something we have to do anyway. So let's kill as many birds with as few stones as we possibly can. Yeah, a lot of black people in this country feel a great grievance and have been taught a great grievance, manipulated with a great grievance in some ways, yes, but know of a great grievance in this nation's history. And there's 40 million black people conservatively that live in this country. And if we were able to bring them into a more American mindset, instead of allow them to live in this void, this sort of purgatory of nationlessness, then we would have a good leg up on saving this nation. And a lot of people show that they're not really willing to save this. They're not willing to sacrifice certain cultural norms to save this nation. When they say, "Hey, you know, the hell with them." Well, if you say the hell with enough groups, maybe that's how we got here, you know? And I'm not saying we should bend on everything. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we should start bending on Marxism. And we're going to get into all of this in a moment here, but I just want to give you a brief recap of where we were last episode. Um Start the clock now so I can know where we're at here. Um I just want to give you a brief recap. And it's not personal. I mean, if it, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. It's always personal. If it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. I'm talking to a number of different people and a number of different topics at a number of different levels all at once in these podcasts. If it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. If it does, then it does. The shoe fits, it fits. That's just it. I can tell you one thing, that the Republican Party, it's not by accident that the uniparty, the traditionally uniparty rhino Republican establishment here in Minnesota is currently out there in the community, out there in the place that they need to win, in the metropolitan area that they've been losing in for so many years. They are out there peddling an anti George Floyd narrative while planning on going soft on the Second Amendment, softening their position on the Second Amendment. That's not by accident. If you don't see the connection between an over militarized police state and the confiscation or the undermining of the Second Amendment as a fundamental pillar of American citizenship and ultimately the Republican Party platform, then you're just fooling yourself. You're not fooling me. And it doesn't harm me or hurt me to lose you as a listener or follower or subscriber. I tell my people all the time, I'm not looking for 1 million. I'm looking for 10,000 warriors because all the easy decisions are behind us, right? All the easy decisions are behind us. All the easy choices are behind us. All the easy answers are behind us. But let's get into what I want to talk about today. And this is related to, very relevant to the conversation because it's not by accident that Fox News clipped out Tucker Carlson. It's not by accident that they clipped him out. It's not by accident that Fox News as an institution continuously panders to the cultural wedge issues that the Republican constituency in this country um, eat up. And again, everybody can say, oh, we don't listen to Fox News. We don't listen to Fox News. Well, it's funny how the media works. You may not listen to Fox News yourself, but understand where the marching orders come from with whoever you're listening to. I mean, whether from Fox News and the boardrooms at Fox News all the way down to the local radio stations. There's a zeitgeist. There's an echo chamber, and today more than ever, there's an even bigger echo chamber with an even broader reach, and the reflections of certain MOs conversationally seep all the way down to the broadest range of political commentators, political information. And so it's not by accident that Fox News has become or has been what it is. It's not by accident that a great patriot like Steve Bannon started his political rise and as a commentator or as a political activist, you could say, or thought leader by going right after Fox News, by going right after the Republican establishment. This is another info war that they're using against the real American patriot movement with black people. Most black people think of Republicans and they think of George Bush. They think of Republicans and Donald Trump, and they have um, they 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 identify it as an amalgamation of George Bush and Reagan and Nixon and all these people. None of them have had an education, a real education that Donald Trump actually came onto the scene fighting against the George Bush Republican establishment. They don't even know that. They haven't even been given a real chance to know that. And part of the reason why, a big part of the reason why, is because Fox News continues to conflate and package a narrative that doesn't allow them to hear that. They were as anti Donald Trump as anybody when it came down to it, right? Now, sure, they'll afford him his time to speak and this, but the narrative around the narrative was so subversive of what Donald Trump's fundamental platform was. And this most recent deal is a great example of it, the best example of it, the most pertinent example of it. This is the most darkest and most dangerous time in American history for American citizens, for people that believe in having a country, for people who believe in citizenship, for people who believe in God, for people who believe in rights. This is the most darkest and dangerous time in American history. The fundamental ideals that shaped America hang by a thread on the edge of a blade. That's how close we are. And this latest deal with Fox News and them clipping Tucker out is a part of a much bigger narrative that should herald that we need some new ideas and we need some radical ideas and we need them right now and we need people to rally around them, and it's going to be inconvenient and it's going to feel uncomfortable, but that's exactly what we have to get ready for, or else we'll lose. First off, we've already lost. We are losing. We have to rally and come back. We're playing from behind. We're playing from the bottom position. Look to some people who have wartime experience. Look to some people who have competitive experience. Look to some people who have been down before, who knows what it means to be down in a game. Look to some people who understand what it means when it's time to rally, when we're in a desperate position. Look to those people now and heed their warning, because there's a point of no return. Right? When you're on a flight path, you get to a point of no return where if two engines blow out, you got to make your way to the next airport. You can't go back. And once you get to that point, you got to hope that that airport is in the right, in distance, in a good distance from you before you lose altitude, before you lose control, before you lose fuel, right? Before you lose electrical stability in the aircraft or whatever the case may be. You got to just hope, right? We don't want to get to that point. We have not yet hit the point of no return. So let's turn back now. Turning back now is going to look radical. Turning back now doesn't mean we're going to go back to the corrupt status quo. Turning back now means we need to go back to America's foundational values and ideals. And sure, there's some things that we had to correct along the way that we should keep. But where we're headed now is so far and away from any traditional sense of Americanism or Americana. We're in trouble. We're in trouble. And the elections, the elections is the coup de grace of the whole deal. Elections. Right now, I think I said this last podcast, but I'll say it again. I posted this on Getter and Twitter in light of this whole Tucker Carlson, Fox News, Dominion lawsuit deal. And I said, anybody or institution that tries to suppress the general ability for American citizens to question the overall security of our elections is involved and engaged in something that is patently unconstitutional. Patently unconstitutional. Every American citizen, whether you're Democrat, Republican, Libertarian, Marijuana Party, Green Party, whatever the case may be, non-political, it doesn't matter to me. Christian, Muslim, Jewish, non-denominational, agnostic, it doesn't matter. You could be a Satanist. No matter what you are, every American citizen should have the right, has the right, let me correct that. Every American citizen has the right to question the overall security and integrity of their elections and ultimately the power of their vote. Every single one of us. Anybody who tries to suppress that is involved in something that is patently unconstitutional. They're breaking the law. They are literally breaking the law. And right now, you've seen over the last year, over the last 2 years, but certainly over the last 2 weeks, you have seen a rising normalcy around the suppression of questioning elections. Once you can't question the integrity of elections, we no longer have a democracy. And it's ridiculous to hear Democrats talk about democracy when they openly try and suppress the ability for we the people to question the overall security and integrity of democracy, the overall security and integrity of our elections, the overall security and integrity of our vote. You cannot be for democracy. Fundamentally, categorically, you are anti-democratic if you don't want to allow the people to question the security and integrity of elections. That's the bottom line. And it's a creeping normalcy. Now we've come to expect it from the Democrats, right? We've come to expect that the Democrats will say one thing and do another, that hypocrisy is deep within the Democrat ideology and platform, that hypocrisy is deep within the individual pundits of the Democrat and liberal establishment. We've come to expect this from the Democrats. Many of us in this movement, we've come to expect this from the Rhino establishment. But Fox News really rose to the occasion. They really rose to the occasion here recently. Because when you settle, and let's talk about what's going on here. When Fox News settles for $800 million in a lawsuit from Dominion, not for making any definitive claims, just for allowing people to come on Fox News and state their opinion about the overall security or integrity of elections and the machines. When you balk, and let's not even call it a balk, when you punt on a fight for the ability for American citizens to question the integrity of elections, you no longer can talk about the Constitution. You no longer can talk about American rights. You no longer can talk about this nation in any historical American context, as Fox News so often does. Oh, these are our ideas. This is what we believe in. This is what we're fighting against. This is what we don't want to happen. This is what is starting to tear this country down, and blah, 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 blah. The most fundamental core issue, the most fundamental American value is we the people. We the people is concretized, is backstopped, is supported by our ability to vote, our political participation, our civic duty, right? Fox News has hung their hat on this conservative Republican platform. And I hate to even say the word platform because it's so corny. It's become so woke. I mean, they've hung their hat on this Republican conservative narrative. But when push came to shove and they had the opportunity to fight for American citizens' most fundamental right, they punted. Now, you have to ask yourself, why? Why punt? I mean, many of us didn't need any more evidence. Many of us know exactly who Fox News is. Many of us know exactly what Fox News is about. Many of us know exactly what Fox News is intended to do. Many of us understand the idea of controlled opposition. And although we talk about it, we still tune in because there just aren't any other options. This is the way the media industrial complex has monopolized the flow of information and ultimately misinformation and disinformation. This is the art of propaganda. We can't just tell you lies. We have to give you half truth and truth out of context. Fox News has really risen to the occasion now. I mean, they just showed us exactly who they are. They had an opportunity to go to the mat, to take the establishment to the mat and fight on behalf of all the American citizens that pay their bills, all the American citizens that tune in, and they punted. They didn't have the money? They don't have the attorneys? They couldn't have fought Dominion? They couldn't have fought the lawsuit? You got to ask yourself, did the attorneys advise the Murdochs not to fight? Did the Murdochs advise the attorneys not to fight? Who's to blame here? What's going on here? In what world do you not take on that fight? That's the whole deal. This is the whole deal. And you have to look at the results and then you can infer the motive. If you look at the results, you can start to infer the motive. And it's dark. It's corrupt. Because I don't think Fox News punted on the fight because they can't afford it. I don't think Fox News punted on the fight because their attorneys didn't think that they could win the fight. I don't think Fox News punted on the fight because they believe that they did something wrong. I think Fox News punted on the fight because Fox News has always been in on it, and they're going to play a very, very strategic role in executing the end agenda now. They're going to play a very, very prominent role in creating a lukewarm a lukewarm Republican establishment energy, a lukewarm Republican establishment expectation, a lukewarm Republican establishment leadership. That's what they're going to provide now, because they as an institution represent the bastion of Republican and conservatism, whether you like it or not. Because when you live in a corporatocracy, when you allow yourself to be governed by a corporatocracy, you, the individual, and the community that is scammed and bastardized by the federal government and the corporation, you lose the ability to actually represent yourself. You abnegate your representation to your political elites, who are in fact funded by your corporate oligarchs, and thus become a hybrid of federal tyranny. But within that federal tyranny, the one thing that still carries a lot of weight is the law, the rule of law. Another Fox News Republican platform talking point. Rule of law. When it came to the fundamental laws in our nation, our constitutional rights, they punted. But for the last 35 years, they've talked about the rule of law. Since the 1990s, they've talked about the rule of law. Conservatives everywhere have talked about the rule of law, the rules-based order, the post-World War II democratic liberal order. These people are Democrats. They're not the Democrats that you know. They're not Democrats when it comes to George Floyd. They're not Democrats when it comes to reparations. They're not Democrats when it comes to racism. But they're Democrats when it comes to the rule of law. They're Democrats when it comes to globalism. They're Democrats when it comes to corporatocracy. They're Democrats when it comes to preserving the corrupt status quo. And that's exactly what you've seen them start to do. They are preserving the corrupt status quo. I want to go get something for you. One moment. I remember using this a while back. I got this framed. These were the globalist senators. I don't even know what bill this was. I forgot what they did. They opt for globalism so much, and it's hard for me to even remember why I got this framed. I probably should put a little note in here for what bill, what vote what vote they got together on for that made me print this out. But here are the names: Roy Blunt, Missouri; John Boozman, Arkansas; Shelley Moore Capito, West Virginia; Susan Collins. I'm not even going to read it. John Cornyn, Tom Cotton, Lindsey Graham, Chuck Grassley, Cindy Hyde Smith, Mitch McConnell, Jerry Moran, Lisa Murkowski, of course, Rob Portman, Mitt Romney, Mike Rounds, Marco Rubio, Richard Shelby, John Thune, Tommy Tuberville, Roger Wicker, Todd Young. These are your globalist senators, ladies and gentlemen. These are your globalist Republican senators. And you know who they represent? They represent Fox News. That's who they represent. I mean, let's just be honest. That's exactly who they represent. They represent Fox News. They've always represented Fox News. They will continue to represent Fox News. And who does Fox News represent? Fox News represents the controlled opposition. We all know it. We all know it. They're the controlled opposition. And what's hard for me to understand is, how long are we going to go? What more do we need to see? What more do we need to see from this rhino establishment, from these globalist Republican senators, from the Fox News institutions of the world, What more do we need to see from these people to say enough is enough? What more do we what are they providing us? What are they offering us? This is what I ask myself when I try to analyze you know, the reason, the why. I ask myself is what are they providing the people that the people are willing to go along with this? What service do they provide? Well, they provide a jerk off. They provide a catharsis. They provide the ability for you to look across, look out your window, and see somebody else as the problem. That's what they provide. That's the crisis of leadership. Everybody's going to tell you whose fault it is. The Fox Newses are no different. When we all know it's really our fault, it's us. We haven't decided to throw off our chains. We haven't decided to throw off this corruption. We haven't decided to throw off this elite. And the answer, in short, is real simple. We like the convenience. We like what it's given us. We like what it's provided. Some of us in the movement, even, we don't want to admit it, but we like the posh prosperity that's come along with the corrupt status quo. If we didn't, if it didn't provide this material prosperity, we would have said no a long time ago. We would have revolted a long time ago. Now we're being cold. Now we're being shepherded into a place where revolution won't even be an option. Not only will, and we're not talking about some physical out in the streets revolution, because God knows you're probably too fat to revolt against anything. And I'm just keeping it frank. Could you spend 30 days out there in the elements? Could you survive 30 days in the wild? Could you survive 30 days in the forest? Could you survive 30 days underground in the sewers? Could you survive 3 days? You can't even sustain a demonstration for 24 hours. That's where we really are. So the prospect of revolution isn't even, it's so far-fetched at this point, it's pretty scary. A Thomas Paine would be rolling in his grave right now. A Frederick Douglass would be rolling in his grave right now. A Thomas Jefferson would be rolling in his grave right now. But even the rhetoric of rebellion is being persecuted and punished now. That's where we've come to. That's where we are. You can't question elections. You can't question the integrity of elections. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? American citizens do not have the right to question the companies that administer, what do you want us to, that count votes. We're not allowed to question these companies. What more sign that we what bigger sign do you need that we live under a corporatocracy? When a corporation gets to wage lawfare against individual American citizens to subvert the United States Constitution. Well, that's not new, actually. That's not new. That was also a Republican rhino calling card. Free market enterprise. Oh, free market enterprise solves everything. Oh, people just want to make money. Oh, but radical materialism, that was controlled opposition. People just want to make money. It's all about money. It's not all about money. It's not all about money. Sometimes it's about money. Often it's about money. Often it's about material possessions. Often it's about the acquisition of wealth as a conduit to more power and more vanity and pride and lust and sloth and gluttony and the list goes, the 7 deadly sins. Often it's about that. Sometimes it's just pure evil. Sometimes it's just pure wickedness. Sometimes it's a centuries-long intergenerational game of satanic anti-human global practice, ritual. Sometimes it's that. It's not all about the money. Many times we have seen where people have acted against their own financial interests. People have acted against the interest of their corporations in a way that's so blatant, that's so ridiculous, that's so, you know, so illogical that you have to ask, well, why would they do that? Well, some people are willing to sacrifice. See, we think that they're like us. We see our inability to sacrifice, and we see our own, we see our own inability to sacrifice, our own inability to be disciplined and committed across a long period of time as a pitfall of our enemy. Don't assume that your enemy can't be committed because you can't. Don't assume that your enemy won't be disciplined because you aren't. Don't assume that your enemy won't make sacrifices because you won't. Don't assume any of that. In fact, it'd be safe to assume that they are adequate, they are competent, they are expert in their ability to do all the things that you fail to do in your daily life. That's who we're up against. These people are organized. These people are calculated. These people are meticulous. These people are committed. These people have a religion. These people have a spiritual goal. These people are executing a spiritual goal on multiple levels. They are waging a war, culture war on multiple fronts. And we can't even get started because we want to bicker about George Floyd. We want to bicker about reparations. We want to bicker about LGBTQism. We want to bicker about all these things that don't mean shit. I mean, they really just don't mean shit. Like we don't know right from wrong. Like we don't know it's wrong. We all know it's wrong for the Marxist liberal establishment. This whole gender identity politics, wave to march into schools and teach little kids that they should cut their penis off if they wake up one day and feel like a woman. We all know that's wrong. Everybody knows it's wrong. But the people who are waging it, the people who are doing it, the people who are going into the schools, they were willing to sacrifice. They were willing to stay disciplined. They were willing to commit to a long game of losses if need be in order to execute the agenda. And now it's paying off. Because no matter who you are, no matter what you plan to do in the physical world, if you put enough time, effort, and organization into it, you'll start to yield results. The Marxists sent their thought leaders into the universities, and the universities taught teachers who were going to go back and teach high schools and teach middle schools and teach elementary schools, and here we are. The school boards, the superintendents, they're all in on it. Now we're starting to transition into the legal sphere. With now they're starting to transition and secure the execution of their agenda by locking down the legal sphere. This is why George Soros is going and buying DAs and judges. They ran their scam, and they're going to make sure that nobody can question their scam or bring them up and hold them accountable to the scam. That's what the plan is. It's right there. It's right there in our face. They're going to try and rewrite the American Constitution through lawfare. If they can't come right out and just rewrite the American Constitution because it would be too loud, then they're going to slowly but surely punch holes, poke holes in the American Constitution through lawfare. This is the subversion of the United States Constitution through lawfare. And Fox News just dumped $800 million into their pockets. Who is Dominion? Who is Dominion to tell the American people that we can't question the integrity of their company, or the integrity of the way that they run their company, or the integrity of their machinery, or the integrity of their executives? or the security of it. I mean, who's to even say, you know, are they in on it? I don't know. The question is, can you hack the machines? That's a legitimate question. You can't ask that question. You can't ask the question of is it possible to hack the machines? You can't make a claim, hey, I think, in my opinion, it's possible to. All they're doing is telling you what you can and can't say. This is censorship. This is censorship. This is censorship. This is subversion. Now they're going for it. Make no mistake. Understand what's happening right now. I want people to really understand this. Everything else pales in comparison to this. I talk about the Fed. I talk about the police state and global policy, the post-World War II democratic liberal order. All of it was reverse engineered. All of it worked backwards. All of it went big. It went global. It used the military. It used the currency to go global, shot global first, and now it's going to shrink its way back in until it gets the American people in a chokehold and squeeze until the life is gone. Because the American identity, American citizenship, is the life spring of modern freedom. The idea of it. That's why the same people the same countries that they use in their Marxist liberal excuses for immigration, really drugs, but they can say it's immigration and human welfare, human rights, humanitarianism. The same countries that they use in their excuse for immigration crisis, there's a reason those people are leaving those countries. Because America is the shining city on the hill. And your Republicans will try and claim, oh, well, the people just want the welfare. Don't bastardize our country with that bullshit. The people don't just want the welfare. Those people are coming from countries that have socialism, that have dictatorships, that have corrupt banana republics, that have corrupt cartel-led city officials and public officials and so on and so forth. These people are coming from countries that are riddled by crime, and thus they really have no freedom. They have no rights. Mexico's a prime example. And now Mexico and Canada want to renegotiate a deal with us. You know, the deals that Trump corrected with Canada and Mexico, now they want to renegotiate. But there's no greater example than Mexico in this whole in this whole deal. The people in Mexico are fleeing corruption there in Mexico. They're not just coming for the benefits. The benefit is the corruption here is not as visceral as the corruption there. You know, we got corruption here, no doubt. No doubt. But if a group of people get together and they go town to town and start killing 30, 40, 100 people at a time and create mass graves, we'd put a stop to that. That would disrupt the status quo a little too much for us here in America. We have corruption in other ways. Significant ways, serious ways we should address. But let's not be mistaken about the reality with this country by comparison to others and why people are fleeing the countries they're fleeing. American freedom means something all around the world. That's what they're trying to squeeze out. That's what they're trying to squeeze out. You're going to be surprised how quickly corrupt American fourth industrial revolution technocrats are going to kill people just as quick as the cartels. It's going to make your head spin. When the Constitution no longer has teeth, when the Constitution has been defanged, both on paper and in public sentiment, people are going to be getting killed so fast your head's going to spin. freedom won't be freedom. When it goes quick, right? It goes slow. It's like going bankrupt. When you go bankrupt slow, then all at once. Slowly, and then boom. American freedom is in jeopardy. It's never been in more jeopardy. Everything else pales in comparison to this. If we can't question the security of our elections, if we can't question the security of our vote, if we can't question the integrity of the companies, the corporations that oversee counting the vote, we live under a corporatocracy. Dominion can go fuck themselves. And that's what Fox News should have said. Fox News should have flipped Dominion the bird. They should have took it all the way to the Supreme Court. They should have took it all the way before Clarence Thomas. They should have took the lawsuit as far as it needed to go so that they could create the precedents, the jurisprudence that the American citizen will always be allowed to question the integrity and any potential corruption of their elections, their vote, and the overall democratic process. That's what Fox News should have done, but they didn't. They didn't. And they clipped Tucker out as a side deal, as a side dish, as collateral. Tucker's just collateral damage in the deal. The only saving grace over there at Fox News, the only guy who had some real talent and actually touched on some real issues. Had to clip him. Nobody's bigger than the machine. And it's funny because a lot of these Republican conservative cucks that I watch on the internet, I remember you. I remember you when I fought the NBA. I remember you when I fought the NBA. You're the same status corporatist cuck then, now that you were then. I remember you. You were in the comments saying it's not the NBA's job to deal with X. The NBA is a business. They're thinking about money. If you can't perform, if you can't fly, then you can't play. They're a business. They don't need to worry about, I don't want my politics in my sports. I don't want my politics at the football games in the arenas on Sunday. I don't want my politics, and I don't want and I don't want and I don't want and look at you now. Corporatocracy. You gave what? You gave it up. You laid the predicate. You set the tone. You set the dialogue. They all watched from the ivory tower and said, I wonder how they'll respond to this. That's what social media really did for them. Social media created the viewing glass into the pulse of the American people. Because the people who are on social media, they actually have an emotion or an opinion strong enough to voice their opinion in the public arena. The people who aren't on social media, they really don't. They probably don't really have. They're not that emotionally invested in the whole deal. So now they get to see who the most emotional people are that would potentially lead any type of political activism in their area, and they get to create a tally. They get to create a summary. They get to create a sum total and start to piece out where they need to massage the narrative in certain places. But ultimately, what they saw was that the conservative movement and the Republican movement would cuck for free market enterprise. That the conservative movement was so corrupted and interested in free market enterprise and capitalism, crony capitalism, even if need be, and this sort of vanguard of American business, that ultimately it would be the corporation that would undermine American citizenship. Ultimately, the corporation is what killed the American citizen. Funny. And I take you all the way back to episode 1, and we said, what I say, the business model of the crown bastardized the idea of America from day one. And it has continued to bastardize the idea of America. Drugs, piracy, slavery, business model of globalism. Still is to this day. Just modified, just rebranded, repackaged. bastardized American citizenship from the word go. And in the end, it was the corporation that killed the American citizen. In the end, it was the corporation that dealt the final blow to the American citizen while the conservative cuck sat up on the hill praying that it would go back to a time when the neocon rhino establishment could roll in dough, when the boomers could roll in dough, when the 501c3 Christians could roll in dough, put their little pot out, raining coin under a corrupt status quo. Well, now they're going to take the coin from you and your rights. Now they're going to take the coin from you and any resemblance of America. Now they're going to take the coin from you and your identity. Now they're going to take the coin and your children. Now they're not going to leave you with two coins to rub together to really rub it in your nose because you didn't see the long game. And I love that Tucker was on the Full Send podcast, and he just came right out and admitted, he said, listen, I come from a generation where we didn't think of the media like this. I've really had to spend 30 plus years in the industry to really understand that what people say is conspiracy theory isn't conspiracy theory. The media is actively trying to subvert your rights, your quality of life. And God bless Tucker for being able to admit that. Mea culpa. I love when people just come out and see, I was wrong. I was actually wrong. I didn't see it. Mea culpa. And that's what Tucker did. You should go watch Tucker on the Full Send podcast. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was insightful. Now, nobody can know whether Tucker's telling the truth or not, and nobody can tell to what degree, but at least he had the balls to mea culpa. I didn't see it. I didn't realize just how pervasive the mainstream media industrial complex was until it was too late, and I was already underwater in it. And then I had to try and survive it. And ultimately I got clipped out because I wasn't going to sit back and stay silent. And that is why they clipped Tucker out. And what did they use to justify it? Dun da da da. The Me Too version, the conservative version of the Me Too movement. Can't write it up. 20 globalist Republican senators. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. The conservative version of the Me Too movement. What's her name? Abby. Never believe a woman named Abby. Let's just start there. I think her name was Abby. Let me make sure. I don't want to misname her. Let's see here. Well, come on. What's her name? Somebody put it in there. I know somebody put it in the comments. Here we go. Oh yeah, that was her name, Abby Grossberg. Yeah, I thought it was Abby. Never trust an Abby. Never trust a white Abby. A white Abby's like a Karen. I mean, that's Karen. Democrats and Republicans the same. You got Karens. You got what's my Norma McCorvey. Remember Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade, the star witness in Roe v. Wade was a white woman named Norma McCorvey who lied about being raped. That was the buried lead in the Roe v. Wade case. That was the buried lead that they don't talk about in the Roe v. Wade case. That was the buried lead that the Marxist liberal institutions of academia don't talk about in the Roe v. Wade case. In fact, when you hear conservative pundits talk about Roe v. Wade, you rarely hear them reference Norma McCorvey. Norma McCorvey lied and said she was raped by 4 people, one of which was a woman. She was willing to throw another woman under the bus for her political ambitions. That's the origins of the Me Too movement. It's not by accident that the Me Too movement and Roe v. Wade are intertwined. It's not by accident that the white liberal woman became the face of the Me Too movement. It's not by accident that the conservatives played coy and waited for the right moment to emerge on the scene and coalesce a corrupt status quo around a new type of politic, a new wide body politic, a new body politic. We got Me Too. We got the Me Too movement on both sides of the aisle. Believe Abby. Fuck Abby. Go fuck yourself, Abby. See, us black men, we know you all too well. This is, and Tucker, God bless you. And God bless you. I hope you just bring it to the establishment full tilt because we're at that time. Might as well not mince words. But you should have had some more real Negroes over there at Fox News because we would have sniffed these little whores out right away. We always know, we always can see when there's a little opportunistic, traitorous little snake weasel whore running around. We always know. We always know. We can smell a Abby a mile off. And you'll find this funny at home, but when the whole George Floyd protest was going on, I became real cross with the local activists here in the Minneapolis community because often, there were all these community gatherings and community panels and so on and so forth, and everybody would come, to the town square and say their bit, and I was new there, right? I'm not a part of this activist community. I wasn't brought up in it. I didn't come. I'm really from the community. All these community activists, for some reason, they come from some other city, some other state. They're imported, like our politicians. Governor, he's not from Minnesota. He's from Kansas. Mayor, he's not from here. He's from California, and so on and so forth. The list goes on. But we're at these community gatherings. uh, I was often, what do I want to say? I was often criticized after the community gatherings because I'd be the one that come right out and say, white liberal women will not lead a revolution. White liberal women cannot lead this movement. They can't lead any movement. The only movement they can lead is a satanic movement, and that's the movement they're leading. Understand. I just want to, as a sidebar, I just want to help people understand what the whole trans movement is really about. Trans people, there's been trans people for, a long time. I think there's more now than there's ever been, but the trans movement has become a movement. And I want people to understand what it is. It's just liberal white women getting off on emasculating men. When you see think about it. Why else would a group of white women get together with their small infant children and watch a man dress as a woman and prance around like a stripper? Why? They get off on it. They're harboring a very deep, deep spiritual, biological, existential resent for men at the highest level. I mean, the highest level. And that resent turns into a desire to see men, uh, you know, emasculate themselves, really. A desire to see men make a fool of themselves. But even deeper than that, to really hate themselves. They wanna watch men hate themselves. They want to bring men to the point where they hate themselves so much so that they say, you know what, it'd be better if I was a woman. Why can't I be more like you? They want to create that sort of dynamic. They want to watch that play out. They want to watch a man question his manhood. That's a win for them. That's a cultural win for them. That's an asymmetric war. That's an asymmetric cultural war that you're seeing from the white liberal woman towards men. White liberal women who have now co-opted other groups of liberal women and insane women who harbor deep, deep resent for men. They want to watch men, they want to watch the masculinity within men deteriorate. And they want to drink, cocktails while they do it. War for women is not what it is for men. Women are very, very emotion-driven and psychological emotion-driven creatures. This is why their acts of revenge are always so psychologically driven. Because the threat of real physical violence isn't the same for them. The prospect's not the same. I mean, if a band of women just got together and started killing men in droves, what would happen? I mean, it wouldn't be long before men just said, no, stop. We're going to kill you bitches. It's not happening. That's the reality. You may not like my language, but it's the reality. You couldn't get that. There are no there are no female Sicario hit teams in Mexico for a reason. Women don't have the same capacity for violence as men, physical capacity for violence as men. Partly because they are women. The capacity of violence for women is it's tampered by the capacity of violence that exists in men. Now, if there were no men, women would be murderous as hell. You'd see women get real murderous, but they can't because there's just a difference in us in that way, biological difference in us. So they exact revenge in a different way, and you can just tell that the psyop that's being co-opted by an even bigger global agenda to weaken America as a bastion of freedom is purely liberal white women and women getting off on men being emasculated. And that's why they're the number one fan. They're the number one cheerleader. Go down the list, pull a video up. Show me a video of a trans lap dance, a trans stripper, a trans drag show. Show me a video of it and tell me who the number one fans are. Pull one up. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free. Show me a drag show. Show me a drag show where the majority of people in the crowd clapping and cheering are straight black men. Go ahead. Go ahead and show me. Pull the video up. I'm trying to show you what the saving grace is of this nation. Okay. Show me a video for, again, Fox News. I'll bring you back to the point. I'll keep trying to weave these in for you. Fox News, big on the anti-trans rhetoric. Huge on the anti-trans rhetoric. But they fired Tucker Carlson because some neoliberal woman said that the workplace is too hostile, that she could hear the sexism in Tucker Carlson's comments. And Fox News bent to that, and they bent to Dominion. Next, they're going to be bending to trans. Show me a video where there's a drag queen show, where there's a trans drag show. Show me a video where the main fan in the audience are straight black men. And I say that because at these drag shows, when you look in the audience, the women aren't gay. The women aren't trans themselves. These are straight women. These are straight white women clapping and cheering to watch them. I mean, it's the most sadistic, masochistic, self-loathing, satanic practice. Shouldn't people just be free to be them? Sure. Yeah. People are free to be them. That doesn't speak to why you're so interested in it. That doesn't speak to why you're such a fan. Yeah, you can go out and cut a hole in a tree and stick your cock in a fucking tree if you want, if that's what you're into, if that's what gets you off, go ahead. People in your neighborhood might have a problem with it, but you could surely venture off into the forest and find a nice lonesome tree that's real healthy looking and sap in it or whatever you're into. I don't know if you like oak trees or maple trees or whatever. I don't know. Cut a nice small hole in that tree and stick your cock in it if you want. Fine. But the prospect of me watching it and cheering is an entirely different thing. Why do I need to cheer that on? Why would I be so emotionally invested in something like that to the point where I make it the calling card of my political activism? It's fucking ridiculous. And I only bring it up One, because the trans movement is completely out of fucking control. I can't even believe we're talking about this shit. I can't even believe we are where we are in this country when our enemies are at our doorstep. It's like the cherry on top for a metaphysical and spiritual force that wants to not only destroy us but mock us as they destroy us. That's what we're looking at. When you're talking about the trans movement, we are being mocked during our destruction. And that's what Satanists would do. They'll mock you. Right? Yeah, I'm not just going to kill you. Stick the knife in, twist it slow, and then as you're bleeding out, I'm going to piss on you because I'm just a fucking degenerate. I'm a demonic. It's what demons do. They just want to see the world burn, and they want everybody to know that they enjoy the world burning because they hate themselves. That's what the trans movement has become. Sure, trans people should have rights. You can be trans. Fine. The American Constitution already protects for that. It's ridiculous. Why have we've created and it's understand this. For anybody who says the trans movement is over exaggerated by conservatives, go look how much support there is for the trans movement on social media. Overwhelming support. Overwhelming. I could one of these days I'm just going to pop up on a Tuesday and just do reactions. And it's not going to be the crazy stuff. I want to go through the comments. I want to show you guys the comments of people's uh, unwavering support and unity and rallying around transgender rights or transgender shows. I saw this the other day. The Pride Parade, they canceled the Pride Parade in Florida because Governor DeSantis said that kids weren't allowed. The Pride Parade. Now, I'm from Minnesota. We have a huge LGBTQ community here in Minnesota. Huge. My mom was an esthetician. I grew up in a salon where there were gay men that did hair, where there were gay men that did nails. I grew up around gay people. I'm not homophobic. I also grew up in an era where the gay men really weren't as flamboyant and trying to push the ideology on the kids. I listen, and I want to be personal here so you can kind of understand the uniqueness of my story to be able to speak about this issue. Because if I don't, then what's the point? Never once growing up with my mom or my aunts in the hair care business. My other aunt Pam, she did makeup and hair and costuming for the theater community. Most of the Sounds of Blackness, which is more of a religious and Christian play, uh, you know, theater community. But she did work for the theater community. The point is, when you grow up in a world where you're in the hair care or the cosmetic business, like my mom and aunts were, I saw and met gay people all the time growing up. Never once did anybody gay feel it was appropriate to touch me or to try and push their sexual lifestyle on me. That was not a thing. That was not, honest to God, I don't even think this is really, when I look at it, I don't even really believe that this movement is being pushed so much by the LGBTQ community as white liberal women and their beta male co-conspirators who are in the uniparty as well. Beta male co-conspirators, 20 Republican senators. Don't get it mistaken. 20 beta male co-conspirators, beta male co-conspirators that they're trying to leech on and use the LGBTQ movement. Because I came up in the Twin Cities, second, third biggest LGBTQ population per capita in the whole country. Grew up in the community specifically where there were hairstylists and makeup artists and nail techs and all the men who were gay. Never once did a gay man try and tell me or suggest that I may in fact be a woman, that I may in fact like men, that I may never once. It's just maybe it's just my experience. Maybe my mom just gave off the kind of energy where she wasn't going to tolerate that, and she was going to get to business if anything like that happened. But regardless, never once had friends in high school who were gay. Never try to push gay ideology on me. Never tried to push gay ideology and activism in general. In fact, my god sister is a lesbian. Love her to death. One of the most solid people in my entire family. One of the most solid, most hardworking people in my entire family. I love her to death. Literally, she's my real sister. We're first cousins, but her mom is my godmom and my mom is her godmom. So, we're god brother and sister, but she's my real sister. Lesbian. She would be appalled at what we haven't even spoken about this really, but I'm pretty sure she would be appalled at what's being pushed on young people now. Under the flag of the LGBTQ. She would be appalled. Grew up she was a lesbian. She's been a lesbian. She was in high school. There was an entire community of lesbian basketball players. She played basketball. She was a good basketball player. And there was an entire community of lesbian basketball players. Never once was it the rallying cry for activism. And they went to pride events. They went to, gay nightclubs. They did stuff like that. No doubt. There's an entire community. There's a community like that in every city. They weren't canceling their events because the kids weren't invited. What the fuck are we talking about now? What are we getting at now? And you guys don't, and I know I'm preaching to the choir for many people, but for any of you Democrats and liberals and pro-LGBTQ wackos out there, this is getting out of control. You don't see it. This is the greatest distraction ever devised. Perfect. We're going to pit Christians against non-Christians. We're going to pit God versus non-God. We're going to pit heterosexuals versus homosexuals. We're going to pit blacks versus whites. We're going to pit white people versus black people. We're going to pit, women versus men, the young versus the old. And it's going to coalesce all around the campfire. And at the center, we're going to stick a 6'6" man with hair on his back, a spaghetti strap, halter top, and a pair of fucking Daisy Dukes. And we're going to let him dance in front of kids. Are you people not seeing it? Are you people not seeing it? Give me a break. Fox News, they're going to clip out Tucker Carlson because this woman is pulling the conservative version of Me Too. Give me a break. This is who Fox News has always been. This is who they're laying the predicate. And let me show you how subversive it really gets. Let me show you how dark and subversive it really is. Fox News is going to position themselves to take a soft position on the Donald Trump lawsuit, on the Donald Trump case, the Donald Trump indictment. And the Donald Trump indictment is intended to cause a shitstorm, number one. But understand, it's not, they're gonna take it to a criminal. This isn't going to be an indictment about hush money. This is going to slowly progress into an indictment of Me Too, non-statute of limitations protected Me Too claims from other women there in New York, in the state of New York. This is going to be the well that never runs dry all the way up to the 2024 presidential election. You're going to see woman after woman now start to come out and say that Donald Trump sexually harassed her, or created a hostile work environment, or made a sexual pass, or so on and so forth. This is setting the predicate, three-dimensional. We're going to quash the ability for citizens to question the integrity of elections. We're going to make a more coalesced corrupt status quo around the identity politics of women and Me Tooism. We're going to reboot the Me Tooism and sexism. I thought that ship had sailed. No, we're going to use Fox News to reboot that. And ultimately, when the time comes, we're going to open the door of precedent and jurisprudence for the American sentiment around a thing such as sexual assault to be in our favor when we go after the next president of the United States on criminal sexual assault charges. That's the battle plan. That's what they're going to do. That's where they're going to go. And Fox News had an opportunity. Remember, people, Fox News had an opportunity to stick a flag in the ground, to draw a line in the sand and say, nope, we're going to take this all the way up to Sir Clarence Thomas. We're going to take it all the way up top because we have the money to do it. We're going to fight for the American Constitution that we've peddled for so long. We're going to fight for the American Constitution that we've hung our hat on. We're going to fight for the foundational American ideals that we've hung our hat on at this institution for so long. We're going to fight for it now. But the revelation is that Fox News has never really believed in those things. And now you know. Now we all know. Now that Tucker got clipped the way he got clipped, now we all can let it go. We can all let it go now, right? And if we don't let it go, if we keep voting, I mean, you got to ask yourself, who's voting for Mitch McConnell in Kentucky? I mean, I got a lot of comments on Monday, and people said, it's they said it's not right. It's wrong. It's wrong to assume that all white Christians in America watch Fox News. Okay. I mean, if you want to get technical, of course, all Christians, white Christians, don't watch Fox News, but a lot of you surely do. A lot of you must. A lot of you are saying you don't when you do. A lot of you just do. A lot of people out there still on the Fox News train. You can say you're not, but even if you're not, you're still getting news from somewhere that gets their orders on high. Who in these places are voting for these? Who would vote for Mitt Romney? Who would vote for Mitt Romney? Who's voting for Mitt Romney? Who's voting for Lisa Murkowski? Who's voting for Mitch McConnell? Who's voting for Susan Collins? Who's voting for Marco Rubio? Who's voting for these people? Todd Young. I mean, these are United States senators. These are United States senators. Who is voting for these people? It'd be one thing if we had a Senate full of America First candidates, or we had a House full of America First candidates. We don't. The America First, there's like a handful of America First in the entire United States Congress, Senate included. Who are we fooling? It's a reflection of us. And if you want to make the claim that all of these uniparty rhinos got into office through illegitimate elections, then Fox News just sealed the deal. Fox News just packaged the whole thing up and put a pretty bow on it. That's what you got to ask yourself now out there. Who the fuck is voting for Mitchell McConnell? The people in Kentucky are sellouts. With all due respect to you, I almost went to Kentucky. And in fact, I have a lot of people who remember when I played for Kentucky, and I played against Kentucky in the NCAA tournament. punished their ass too. If there was half of another me on my team, we would have beat their ass and we'd have went on to win the championship that year. And I played on a great team, don't get me wrong, but when you average 10 threes a game and then you shoot 2 for 17 from 3 on the day you play the best team in the country, you're going to have trouble winning. It's just what it is. We didn't shoot the 3 well that game. But regardless, so I have a lot of people from Kentucky who are Republican, who remember me from that time and have found me again since I started to speak out in the political conversation. And I get feedback all the time. Oh, I live in Kentucky. I live in Kentucky. Well, why the fuck are people in Kentucky voting for Mitch McConnell? What the fuck is going on there? Honest to God, I don't understand. What more do you have to see? How could this guy be in office for 40 years? It makes me think that the primaries aren't legitimate, or maybe I don't get it. Is nobody in Kentucky brave enough to run against Mitch McConnell? I don't understand what's going on. Somebody help me in the comments. Who is voting for Mitch McConnell? Who is voting for Lisa Murkowski? So maybe I'm not talking to you when I say that white Christian conservatives and Republicans watch Fox News. Maybe I'm not talking to you. But you know I'm talking to somebody out there who is. And we know they are. Because I don't care how much they cheat. They couldn't cheat enough to have such a widespread presence of rhino Republican candidates throughout the United States Congress. And tell me you're not watching Fox fucking News. Yes, people are. Yes, they are. Because it's easy, because it's convenient, because it helps them jerk off. It helps them look at the mirror and tell themselves that it's some young black kid's fault in Chicago. Don't fucking talk about black fathers. You want to talk about black fathers not being in the household, really? Well, let's talk about the anti-family court system or the welfare state that perpetuated the scam. Policy, systemic policy. But on Fox News for so long, they want to push a narrative that black men are just deadbeats. We just choose not to be in the household. We just choose not to be in our kids' lives. I've been in the family court system for 4 children. And I see all 4 children, and they're not by the same mom. 2 of my children live in my home. 2 of my children live with me. My other 2 children don't live with me, but I see all of them. And I fought and asked for custody of all of them. You think the family court, you think black men are walking into the family court and asking for custody, and the abbeys of Fox News are granting black fathers custody of their children? Lawfare. Subversion. Yep. Comes full circle. The anti-family court system, one of the biggest scams undermining the American justice system writ large. The anti-family court system. It's funny how the anti-family court system undermines the stability of black families, undermines the stability of black fathers, and then on the flip side ends up bringing down harsh punishment under the rubric and rule of law for black men who commit crimes. That would be called a pipeline. That would be called a systemic and institutional pipeline. And yeah, everybody has self-accountability that they must take, of course. Of course. But let's go back to our Christian values, see, because this whole self-accountability thing gets warped as well. And I'm almost done here for the day, but I want to get down to the root of some of these scams, these cultural narratives that we tell ourselves to jerk off. Self-accountability is first and foremost. Everybody has to be accountable for their own actions. Number one, with God, of course, but also in your community. No doubt. Number one, you have to be accountable for yourself. But shortly thereafter, You have to be accountable for others: God, family, country. First, you're accountable to God, then you're accountable to family, then you're accountable to country. Very simple equation, fuck sticks. So the line doesn't end at individual accountability, and we all know it. And when you throw that down, when Fox News has thrown that down for so long, they didn't really believe in an individual accountability in a Christian way. They believed in individual accountability in a corrupt status quo, rule of law, uniparty, anti-American family court rule of law, post-World War II democratic liberal order, the rules-based order. They're the controlled opposition. And they fomented a political discourse and discussion around these cultural wedge issues that's intended to do one thing: keep people divided, keep people from uniting against the corrupt status quo and the elite power brokers that have gone out of their way to divide us and conquer us. And now we're at the pinnacle. Don't question elections. Fox News put the nail in that coffin. Isn't that ironic? That the Constitution defending news institution, the Constitution defending news network, put the nail in the coffin for precedent and jurisprudence around questioning the integrity of elections, fundamental American right. But the problem in America is black fathers. No, the problem in America are you fat cat, ivory tower, fuck stick boomers. That's how I see it. Sure, black on black crime is a big issue. That's a big issue. But ultimately, black people shooting each other in the inner cities does not undermine the fundamental rights of the American Constitution. Boom. Ultimately, when two black men decide to kill each other, shoot each other in the inner cities, it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy, and often it's for no good reason, and because the cultural decay and sacred honor, national honor, and spiritual overall spiritual guidance of our young black men is been intentionally misled as well. But it doesn't undermine the United States Constitution. It's not a reality. I'll say it again for those who pretend they don't watch Fox News, but I can hear it in your rhetoric. When two black men kill each other in the inner cities, it does not undermine the United States Constitution. There used to be a time in this country when people would go to a duel of 10 paces. You could challenge somebody to a duel. In fact, I think it was some of our founding fathers who, in the time when our founding documents were written, there were many times where people challenged somebody else to a duel. Pistol, sword, whatever the case may be. Now, at that time, it was probably more based on ideas and philosophical differences and so on and so forth. It wasn't as petty as what many young people do violence against each other now for. And it is petty often, and it is out of control. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making an excuse for it. But isn't it strange that becomes the focus of a Fox News? Crime. Crime becomes the overall focus of Fox News. What does crime usher in? What does crime create the predicate for? It creates the predicate for you to beg for tyranny. It creates the predicate that you will beg for martial law. They're taking two sides of the river and they're ramping them up. They're ramping up your fear. They're ramping up their chaos, their lack of sacred honor and identity, and they're going to let you loose on each other. And when they let you loose on each other, they're going to come in and extend you a hand and say, we can save you. We can save you. All you have to do is renounce your American citizenship. All you have to do is take our central bank digital currency. All you have to do is take a vaccine. All you have to do is opt into the free Wi-Fi plan. where we can watch your every move. All you have to do is move to a 15-minute city. We can protect you there. The security at 15-minute cities are much better. That's what they're headed for. That's what you're headed for. You're going to beg for martial law. When the next pandemic hits and the food on the shelves goes empty, and the poor people in this country who don't know how to grow their own food, who are only dependent on the government, and even more so than that, modern industrial, food yields. They're dependent on the grocery stores. When the food runs off the shelves next time, where do you think they're going to go? And sure, you can say, oh, well, I have my gun. And when that time comes, you should use it. And you should defend your home and your family, no doubt. But that's not all of you. No, that's me. That's the warrior class. And some of you will become warriors when that day comes. Some of you will become warriors when you're forced with that proposition. But some of you will beg for martial law. Some of you will beg for things to be normalized. Some of you will beg that things get back to normal. You won't see the horde on the horizon and understand the need to fight the horde in a fight, in a battle, in a sacrifice of sacred honor, and a sacrifice of sacred honor to uphold the last remnant of American citizenship and freedom. Did you catch that? Is that a little bit too smart for a Negro? That's what the NBA said. You're too smart for your own good. That's not by accident. When the time comes and the chaos is let loose, and you will be faced with the choice to take your gun, to take your physical body, to take your circumstance and take a stand, draw a line in the sand and plant the flag for the last remnant of American citizenship and freedom by fighting off the horde and killing those who come to do you harm. Will you take that chance? Will you take that will you take that opportunity? Will you take that charge? Will you take that duty to uphold American citizenship? Or will you beg for martial law? That's what Fox News just did. We just want things to be normal again. We want to get back to business as usual. Give us martial law. We'll talk like we don't want martial law, but in our actions we show we'll take the overreach of government. We'll take the overreach of our elites. We'll accept corporatocracy. We'll accept lawfare and subversion of the United States Constitution. We'll accept tyranny. In fact, we'll beg for tyranny. We'll clip out our friends to beg for tyranny. Tucker Carlson been carrying Fox News on his back for 15 years at least, 10 years at least, carrying Fox News on his back. Clipped them. That's who these people are. That's who your leaders are. They don't hold anything sacred. They have no loyalty, especially not to you. The reason why you continue to see my face on War Room is because Steve is a great patriot, and he knows the difference between people who just talk and people who are willing to walk, people who are willing to live, fight, and die for what they believe in. And I'm telling you right now that a lot of these lukewarm 501c3 Christian conservatives are going to beg for martial law. The same people who you go to your fucking hot dog BPOU events with, the same people you get together with at the fucking coffee shop or the country club or wherever the fuck else you go. Little league games, the same people you get together with and talk about all of the headline talking points from the Fox News apparatus and the Republican-controlled opposition machine in this country. The same people who you would expect to rally with you at the moment when the chaos is unleashed, Those are going to be the very people who turn their back on you and beg for martial law. They're not willing to die on principle. They're not willing to die on morals and ethics and values. If they were, they'd already be dead because the morals and values and ethics have already been subverted. That's not a call to violence. This is the reality. They have just told the American people through precedent, through a co-conspiring of two corporations and the justice system, the American legal system, they have just set the precedent that you, as an individual, will no longer be able to speak ill of election integrity or security. Don't question us. Don't question us. We got this. We're in control. You sit back and relax. Don't question us. Anybody, any institution trying to suppress the general ability for American citizens to question the overall security of their elections and their votes is engaged in something patently unconstitutional. And the RNC can go fuck themselves with their don't talk about elections strategy. And they can go fuck themselves with thinking about pandering to Democrats by going soft or softening their position around the Second Amendment, or Roe v. Wade, or transgenderism in the schools, or globalism, or the Federal Reserve, or what they call debt hawkery, or China. They can all go fuck themselves. But the reality is, we can say that as much as we want to. We have to start to hold our communities accountable. We have to start asking ourselves, we have to start shaming the people who would vote for Mitchell McConnell in Kentucky. We have to start to shame the people who would vote for Mitt Romney in Utah. We have to start shaming the people who would vote for Susan Collins. Stop letting them align with you on petty, superficial talking points, headlines. Stop letting them align with you in these echo chambers. Separate the weak from the strong. Separate the true from the false. These people are your enemy. This is your enemy. This is the outer bastion of New World Order. 20 Republican senators. That's the outer bastion of New World Order. And to go back to something that I didn't go back to in order to finish here today. One of the great heresies of the Christian community in our country is this idea that everything stops at self-accountability. Oh, there's a reason why Jesus criticized the Pharisees. There's a reason why Jesus went into the temple and said, you people who have been charged with leading spiritual matters, you people that have been given the opportunity to minister in the name of my Father, you people being hypocritical, you people lying, you people being misleading has a disproportionate effect on people's overall spiritual life. That's why he addressed them the way that he did. He took a special interest in leaders, elites, especially religious elites, spiritual leaders, hijacking the Godhead and using it as a way to extract coin, using it as a way to ensconce power, using it as a way to entrench themselves in power, using it as a way to expand the footprint of their own sin. We've lost that in this country, especially in the conservative Republican movement. It's all about self-accountability. Well, then why do any of you complain about anything your elites do? If none of you are victims, and that's probably the number one narrative you hear against Black America, is they have a victim mentality. We don't want to be victims. And you hear a lot of political pundits rise up and they have this motivational speech about being able to take your own individual life by the reins and stop being the victim in your own narrative. And there's truth to that. There's truth to that. No doubt. No doubt. Don't be a victim. But don't be mistaken that you're being victimized either. The choice is whether you stay a victim. The choice is whether you actually get up and fight and who to fight. But in order to get up to fight, in order to prepare yourself for a fight, in order to know who to fight, you have to first identify who it is that's wronging you. And we've created this motif in the conservative movement where we don't want to spend much time talking about who's doing the wrong. But we really don't. We like to do it when we talk about the black community in America as a whole. Spending too much time talking about who's done you wrong or who's doing you wrong. Spend more time being accountable for yourself. Well, that could be said of all of you fucking clowns. Every last one of you. From LA to New York City. From Portland, Oregon down to Miami. From Phoenix, Arizona all the way up to New York City. That could be said about everybody. Everybody then should just stop complaining and ask ourselves, why have we traded our freedom for security and materialism? Because everybody would be guilty in that. No, I don't think that's the right header. I don't think that's the right battle plan. I think right now the American people need to wake the fuck up and understand that you are a victim. The question is, are you going to fight? Do you have the fucking balls? Do you have the courage? Do you have the spiritual discernment? Do you have the righteousness, the righteous indignation to make the choice to fight? Fight those who have wronged you. You know, maybe not physically fight them, but there needs to be a commitment. There needs to be a discipline. There needs to be a devotion to saving this nation, to upholding our Christian values, and we haven't had that. We sold that out. 501c3, give me a tax-exempt status. I won't talk about LGBTQ-ism, Me Too-ism, or liberalism in American politics. I'm out. Let's just all be accountable for ourselves. Until the LGBTQ-ism is in your public schools. And you can say, oh, well, I send my kid to private school or I send my kid to charter school. It's coming there too. Don't fucking kid yourself. All these schools are still recruiting teachers that came from four-year universities. All these schools, no matter where Catholic, whether they're Lutheran, whether they're charter, all private, military, all of them are still recruiting teachers with the best four-year academic institution resumes. It's coming to a theater near you, people. It's coming to a theater near you, win, lose, or draw. You better get ready to fight. Yeah, self-accountability is important. Let's be accountable to fighting. Let's have the self-accountability to stand up and say enough. Self-accountability does not mean that you turn the blind eye to what's happening in the world. Self-accountability means that you pick up your cross in the world as it relates to the world. That you do something good in the world, that you speak the truth in the world. Absolutely. And I'll say this. Are the young black men hypocrites that say that they're being victimized by the system, but they shoot each other in cold blood and fill their veins full of drugs? Absolutely. Yeah, that's a hypocrisy beyond reproach. Are the young black activists out there who say we're being wronged by the system, but then take a payoff or a petty currency of attention to stand on the podium and pander to the liberal Marxist establishment? Yep, that's corrupt. That's not what I'm talking about. But there is a pro-black movement out there that has a legitimate grievance, and they actually believe in this country. And those are the people you need to go find. Those are the people that the doors need to be opened up to in the Republican Party. Those are the people that we need to replace with the controlled opposition that we've allowed to stand next to us on superficial ideological beliefs. Hispanics as well. Those are the people we need to go find now, and we need to go minister, and we need to let them take that ministry into their community and foster it. That's how we can win. Let's not let every election be determined by the results. And I mean, aren't you all sick of it? Aren't you all sick and tired of being there and watching the coverage of the elections on election day, given that they're actually legitimate, which in many cases they're not. But I would venture to guess that they're using the election, that they're cheating in the elections on both sides of the aisle, in general elections and in primaries. And they've been doing it for a long time. And the Republican establishment has been in on it at multiple times throughout history, which is why they're being so lukewarm on sticking their foot in that shit now. Because they know there's remnants of their own DNA deep in the shit. But aren't you sick of sitting there on election night and waiting for the results to come in from the inner city and just knowing that it's going to overwhelmingly be Democrat? Aren't you sick of that? What's your strategy? What's your strategy? You can't have kids. You can't have kids until you get married. That's a Christian doctrine. So you're not going to outbreed people who don't believe in God. You're not going to outbreed people who don't have any beholden to Christian ideals. That's the reality. That's why the LGBTQ and the white liberal woman has hijacked the black community, because they know the black community is going to continue to breed. The black community is going to continue to have babies. And that's the real animus that you mean to convey when you say black fathers are absent, child out of wedlock. That's a numbers game thing. You resent and reject the prospect that metropolitan areas will continue to grow out of your control because black people are having kids. They're going to continue to have kids. You don't like that because the white, posh, yuppie, omnisexual, metropolitan, neoliberal, neocon, globalist has too many ambitions to have children. And the 501c3 Christians, we got to be married to have children. But you're not getting married any earlier. You're not getting married at 17 so you can reproduce, so you can be fruitful and multiply. You're not getting married at 15, 16. You're not getting married at 18. You're not getting married at 20, 21. You're not getting married at 24. You're waiting till you're 35 fucking years old to get married. I know it hurts. I know it hurts. I get it. You don't like me because I say it like it is. You're waiting to get married. Some of you end up not having kids at all. Hassle. I don't even blame you because the anti-family court system rigged that against you. They're going to take all you white men and make you pay reparations to the woman instead of the black man. You hate it. I know. I understand. I know you don't like to hear it. But this is the reality. All you white men out there, all you middle American white men who have this huge hard-on for reparations, they're taking it from you through alimony. The white woman, Abby, from Fox News, has weaponized the anti-family court system against you with the beta males to make you pay reparations to them instead of black folks. And that's exactly what the entire Marxist liberal establishment has done in the political in politics here in America. The posh, yuppie, metropolitan, omnisexual, liberal, anti-human, anti-God, globalist is the sole benefactor of black America. I'll say it again. The posh, yuppie, metropolitan, omnisexual, anti-human, anti-God, globalist is the sole benefactor of Black America. Oh, they're going to make you pay. You will pay. You will pay to keep them in the welfare communities to continue to vote Democrat in perpetuity through your taxes. Yep, you're going to pay. Oh, you will pay. All of those out there saying, I'm not going to pay reparations. Oh, you're paying. You're just paying for reparations that's going to lead to the destruction of this country. You're paying a reparations that's going to lead to the infinite welfare state, a welfare state that's going to slowly expand to you as well, because they're going to cut out the middle market and all the small businesses until you beg for welfare. That's what they mean to do. If we don't go minister, if we don't create a ministry of truth, if we don't take a ministry of truth into the belly of the beast, they are going to destroy this nation. They are going to destroy this country until everybody who used to call themselves American and believe in freedom and believe in God is going to beg for martial law and beg for welfare. It's right in their white papers. It's right in their battle plans. Sir Bertrand Russell, the white European intellectual father of European academic tradition, the first spokesman of New World Order, Sir Bertrand Russell. Separate the elites and the common folk until the possibility of revolution dissipates completely. The two groups are so separate. They're saying it right in the white papers. The Industrial Revolution on the horizon now is such that the technology will make it almost impossible that many people will become unable to keep themselves afloat in the modern economy. And when that happens, we need to be there for them. We need to be there to catch them. We need to be there to provide that welfare state that we piloted on the Black community. We need to be there to be that welfare state that we got ramped up and piloted while we created the cultural wedge and division that we don't want Black people to own land and actually get reparations. We don't want them to be self-sufficient. We don't want them to have their own land so that they have a vested national interest. And we're willing to lose, and we're willing to lose the country. That's the hill we're willing to die on. That's a petty hill. It's a small hill. It's a lonely hill. It's a government hill. It's a government shill. Oh, man, it's been another episode of Please Call Me Crazy, brought to you by Free People Radio and now sponsored by our first sponsor, powered by our first sponsor, TireGet.com. That's TireGet.com. You have to buy tires. Most of the tires made in China. We got to at least funnel the money back here to American companies who believe in having a nation and borders. TireGet.com, you can enter promo code FPR2023 and get 5% off your final purchase. That's TireGet.com. These people are patriots and real American citizens that believe in having a country, and I appreciate their partnership and sponsorship. And you know, they just let me go off. You know, these type of companies we have to support. When a company is willing to tie themselves to this kind of radical language, these are the corporations we need. These are the corporations we need to get really, really big. Not the Fox News Corporation, who makes it so easy to support, who makes it so all you got to do is turn on your local television, and they'll do the numbers and see how many people are there, and then they'll sell advertisement, and they'll get rich, and you'll get poor, and they'll sell you out the first fucking chance they get. Cut a fucking deal like rats, weasels, cutting fucking deals with the tyrannical federal government and the corporatocracy. Anybody or any institution that tries to suppress the general ability for American citizens to question the overall security of their elections and their vote is engaged in something that is patently unconstitutional. Don't die a jerk off. The fight continues. Godspeed.